Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, February 13th. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Patricia Valone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, the St. Pleasant police chief has been cleared of alleged wrongdoing.
And he's staying on the job. CTV's Katera joins us now with the story. Katera, this has really been a roller coaster of a ride, hasn't it?
It really has, Gina. The investigation into allegations of misconduct involving the St. Pleasant police chief is over, and now Devin Martin can breathe a sigh of relief. Mayor Eugene Grant said he's backing the chief. This after a former city employee alleged that Martin falsified a CVSA, which is similar to a polygraph. At a press conference this morning, Grant announced that the city's chief operating officer and the state's prosecutor determined that the allegations were false.
I can say with complete confidence that Chief Martin and his leadership team have remained steadfast in their commitment to curb acts of misconduct, increase transparency, establish a service-oriented and citizen-centric police culture.
This complaint is because of our level of integrity. It's because we have held people accountable. It's because that we have removed the paradigm or the kingdom of corruption away from this place. And people can't operate as they once did. Doing business as normal and policing in St. Pleasant has totally changed.
Since taking office in 2016, Martin put in new accountability policies and changed hiring standards. He also terminated several officers due to misconduct. The St. Pleasant Police Department has roughly 30 officers.
Now, I can imagine, Katera, how has this been for him personally?
Wow, you know, Gina, Martin says this was really tough for him, but thankfully he has a strong faith. He also relied on his mom and his grandmother, who were actually at the press conference this morning, as more support. So he just says he's just ready to move forward.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, Chevrolet is applying for federal historic recognition, but some residents are concerned that Ward 2 has been left out in the application process. African Americans began buying homes in that district in the mid-1950s, including the family of the late Wayne Curry, the first African American county executive in Prince George's. Now Chevrolet leaders are working with the county so that federal recognition of the town's history is more inclusive.
People who are history buffs, we have this unique opportunity to share not just the history of the buildings there, but the history of the people there. My neighbor is 96 years old, and she can still tell you about her grandfather who was a slave. Those are narratives that we need to have told. Those are stories that haven't quite been uncovered that we need to hear.
It was Ward 4, I heard the most, hey, something's seriously wrong. So we'll look, again, we being the professional staff of the commission, if the town and these not included sections want us to.
And last night, the Historic Preservation Commission met with members of the Chevrolet Ward 4 district. Thompson, who chairs the commission, says he plans to have more discussions on the issue in the near future.
Health officials confirmed the 15th case of coronavirus in the U.S. And despite a spike of some 14,000 new cases reported overnight by China, the World Health Organization says that the number of new cases are not rising dramatically outside of that country.
This disease is still predominantly severe in those who are over 40, with a higher severity profile that increases actually with each decade after that, and predominantly too that severity is amongst men rather than women.
Until we have much better insight into how big is that spectrum and how many cases are on the milder end versus the severe end, then we won't really be able to fully answer that. But it's an area of focus that I think in the next 2 or 3 months we'll be focusing on quite intensively.
The virus has killed more than 1,300 people and sickened 60,000 more worldwide.
A Maryland lawmaker wants to give teenagers the right to get vaccinations without parental permission. House Bill 87 is sponsored by Delegate Mark Corman of Montgomery County. His measure would let healthcare providers give vaccinations to minors without consent from guardians. If enacted, it would only apply to 16 and 17-year-olds. Health professionals would have to determine if a minor is mature enough to make an informed decision about vaccinations.
An anonymous tip has led to a criminal investigation of the Maryland Opioid Command Center. According to Maryland Matters, the Attorney General's office is looking into a $750,000 grant to a nonprofit organization. The money was to be used to open a drug rehab facility on the Eastern Shore. An audit found no written justification for the grant, which, while approved, was never funded due to other issues. The state is also looking at other grants awarded by the center.
Competition can be good for productivity, but a game played out by Metro Police has landed some officers in hot water. Officials say transit cops assigned to Fort Totten held a weekly contest to encourage arrests and other enforcement actions. The competition, which was conducted last summer, was authorized by a supervisor at Fort Totten and lasted 1 month. Metro says prizes included a $20 gift card. Officials say top commanders shut down the competition after learning about it. Metro Police say the department does not condone such practices. As for how the officers will be disciplined, a spokesperson with Metro said appropriate corrective action was taken immediately.